Good morning, one and all. On behalf of Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad and Anantrao Pawar College of Architecture, I, Architect Shailaja Bhagwan, welcome you all to this inaugural ceremony of Online National Research Conference Architectural Education and Research 2021. It's my pleasure to walk you through this national conference organized for the first time in the history of our institute, completely conducted on a
The
digital
next
platform.
image is a
COVID
mobile
19
phone.
has given us
Can you
this
see this image?
opportunity to
This is
connect
the image
all
of the
of us
mobile
on
phone which is
digital
located at
platform
Delhi.
with
It's a
this
mobile
national research
architecture.
conference.
Material of
I
building is
take
a
this
red
opportunity
sandstone.
to welcome
Sandstone has
all
been
our
used
esteemed
in
guests,
Delhi.
Honorable
In New
Shri Uday
Delhi,
Samant,
the
Higher
number
and
of buildings
Technical
have been built
Education
in the
Minister
sandstone.
of State
As
of
in New
Maharashtra,
Delhi, the buildings has been
renowned
designed by the
architect
Egyptians also.
Christopher
What we
Benninger,
have seen yesterday,
and
the
our
India Gate, which the
inspiration,
Rashtrapati
Mrs.
Bhavan
Pramila
is
Tai Gaikwad,
designed by the
General
Lutyens. Those
Secretary
buildings
of
have been used as a
Akhil
material
Bharatiya
as
Maratha
building
Shikshan
stone.
Parishad for this inaugural
Everything
ceremony. I also welcome our expert panel
participated in the
members,
Mughal
guides,
period, time
researchers,
of architecture,
professionals,
Mughal architecture.
academicians, students, and all others to this one-day national conference from all over the country. We would like to start this inaugural session with Savitribai Phule Pune University anthem.
पुण्यमयी देया मा अक्षरवरदा पुण्यमयी देया मा अक्षरवरदा ज्ञानमनोकर्मशील कर्म ज्ञानवान् ज्ञानमनोकर्मशील कर्म ज्ञानवान् पुण्यमयी देया मा अक्षरवरदा जातिभेद धर्मभेद वंशभेद दूर लाख लाख कंठातुनि हाच एक सूर जातिभेद धर्मभेद वंशभेद दूर लाख लाख कंठातुनि हाच एक सूर करुणेच्या चरणांची नत हो विज्ञान ज्ञानमनोकर्मशील कर्म ज्ञानवान् पुण्यमयी देया मा अक्षरवरदान् माणूस की धर्माचा अर्थ जाणतो शमनिष्ठा हे पवित्र तीर्थ मानतो माणूस की धर्माचा अर्थ जाणतो शमनिष्ठा हे पवित्र तीर्थ मानतो हृदयातुनि समतेचा निर्भयाभिमान ज्ञानमनोकर्मशील कर्म ज्ञानवान् पुण्यमयी देया मा अक्षरवरदान् सेवेतच मुक्तिः मङ्गलदीक्षा न्यायास्तव जागृतिः सत्त्वपरीक्षा सेवेतच मुक्तिः मङ्गलदीक्षा न्यायास्तव जागृतिः सत्त्वपरीक्षा हे विश्वचिघरा मुचे मन्त्र हा महान् ज्ञानमनोकर्मशील कर्म ज्ञानवान्
Dr. Rajendra Kohli, Principal of Anantra Pawar College of Architecture, is a backbone of our institute. This today's one-day national conference is evidence of its vision and countless efforts. I request our principal, Dr. Rajendra Kohli to welcome and address all the participants.
Very good morning to all. I take it immense pleasure to welcome all the dignitaries for our online national level research conference, Architectural Education and Research 2021. The constant encouragement and support by our today's chief guest, Honorable Udayji Samant, Higher and Technical Education Minister of Maharashtra State. As well, our today's keynote speaker, Professor Christopher Benninger, who is always guiding light to all our professional and academic activities. His involvement for the academic institutes and the young architects is very well known. I also welcome all the dignitaries of the Council of Architecture India, Indian Institute of Architects, National Council members, chapter chairmen, center, sub-center chairmen and members, as well as dignitaries of Savitribai Phule Pune University, VTU Karnataka, Goa University, Shivaji University Kolhapur, and Solapur University. This particular event has been one of the great achievement in the history of our institute in the last 7 years. In this pandemic situation, all our particular research scholars, then renowned referees and advisory members of our institute has put all their hard work and constant support to this conference. In this particular event, in last 4 months, my all colleagues, faculty members, and well-wishers were constantly in the hard work and in the time to time the reviews and feedbacks with all research scholars and referees in this particular event. In this event, it will be good live experience to all my students from 4th and 5th year also if they will be participate in this event. But due to pandemic and some limitations, we couldn't participate the students. But the technical and conference proceedings will be the definitely have a knowledge bank for them. I once again appreciate the encouragement and support of our management and trust, especially Honorable Pramilatai Gaikwad, General Secretary of our Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad, who is always guiding light and mentor for all our activities. Not last but least, I have to mention all our family members, Honorable Sharad Rawji Pawar, President of Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Parishad, Honorable Ajit Dada Pawar, Deputy Chief Minister as well as Vice President of our institute, Honorable Architect Habib Khan, President Council of Architecture, Architect Vijay Gar, ex-President of Council of Architecture, Dr. Jagannath Patil, Advisor NAC, Bangalore, and Dr. Manohar Chaskar, who is always guiding light for all our academic activities in university with the Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology. This particular event has been proven as a consolidated platform which will definitely give us for organizing and the future such type of national and international events. I once again welcome all the dignitaries for these technical deliberations and interaction at this conference, and I wish all my best to the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your support is very valuable to us. Today we have with us our General Secretary of Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad, Mrs. Pramilatai Gaikwad. I request our principal, Dr. Rajendra Kohli, to felicitate our mentor, Pramilatai. We have also with us the expert members, Architect T.D. Gardner, practicing architect from Sangli. I would like, I request our principal to felicitate Architect T.D. Gardner. Another expert member of the panel, Architect Pramod Chaugule, ex-principal, S.D. Patil College of Architecture, Karad, Islampur. Thank you, Gadgil sir and Chaugule sir. Research involves developing knowledge or expertise in a particular area. Architecture and design constitute one of the major economic growth areas in any country. In architecture, there is an urgent need to focus on research based education for the better learning and development of dedicated professionals. In addition to theory and practice, there is a need to incorporate the research element which can be helpful to inculcate the research orientation in today's architects. Architectural education has been invariably linked to the process of cognitive research. The more the individual critically analyzes the subject, the more value it adds to architecture as a profession. The current state of architecture and design requires extensive collaboration and an investigation attitude, and we continue to develop new research and technologies. Keeping this in mind, the various themes of the conference were finalized, taking into account today's needs of the society. I request coordinator of our conference, Professor Almas Mirshikari, to elaborate them in detail.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. अखिल भारतीय मराठा शिक्षण परिषद.
Almas ma'am, your voice is very low.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. अखिल भारतीय मराठा शिक्षण परिषद, Anantrao Paur College of Architecture, Parvati, Pune is hosting one-day online national conference for the first time in Architectural Education and Research 2021. The conference aims at strengthening the learning and teaching methodologies and practical experiences, which is a part of current awareness in architectural education. Hence, architecture students can have better learning experience if there is an exposure as well as amalgamation of industrial experience as well as academics. This conference aims in development of design skill, thought process, and information-based knowledge with ethical attitude towards looking at profession as well as societal development. This will provide a link between theory and practice for research and practicing professionals. There are essentially 6 themes, and each theme has enough scope to allow options, as many research areas would find their way in this spread of themes. These themes are based on various topics looking at the current scenario and the new challenges in architectural profession. With outreach of the conference, we are looking forward with various current issues through the research. Brief about the themes: environment and sustainable development, which addresses the negative impact of design of buildings and use of various materials that are causing damage to the surrounding ecosystem and communities. With growing urbanization and concretization, the role of architect is to protect, improve, and create required quality of built environment for community, sustainability, and healthy lifestyle. Through this, it is ensured that as an architect, the action taken to control the negative consequences for future generation and respect the principles of social, economic, and ecological sustainability. online teaching and learning process in COVID-19. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has significantly affected vast geographies and practically brought life to a standstill in many places. This has hampered the learning and teaching methodologies in architectural education. The aim is to have an overview of how online architecture learning and teaching process have responded to the pandemic situation. Through this theme and research paper, we are looking forward the alternative approaches adopted for teaching learning methodology and how to incorporate practical based knowledge and case studies effectively on online mode. Also, incorporate effective communication, evaluation, and assessment for progressive improvisation and integration in its long-term implication for post-pandemic scenario. Climate change with reference to global setting. Concretization and urbanization is responsible nowadays for more than half of the energy consumption worldwide, with CO2 emissions that causes climate change. This aims in understanding the knowledge gap that exists with respect to how emissions from built environment can adapt to shifts in global and local climate change. Hence, through research papers, we are looking forward to underline the cause and consequences in the climate equilibrium and understand how built environments can contribute to mitigate and adapt to these changing conditions. Also provide techniques for sustainability. Last, agro-based infrastructure and architecture is a new concept in field of architectural education and research. Looking after pandemic situation, many small as well as large-scale industries were shut down, but not only one industry which survived is the agricultural industry. The farmers working at the rural areas were less dependent on the city area for transportation and other needs. Hence, agro-based infrastructure is one of the industry which has lot of tourism aspects. Also, scope for income from small-scale industry in rural areas. Hence, the overall concept is to facilitate and provide appropriate overviews on architectural design and character for those who want to develop in agro-based infrastructure through research and design to develop a sense of place and spirit of contemporary life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Albas ma'am. We APCOI team are very much proud to have a strong support and guidance. We would not have been able to organize this national level conference without the support of our General Secretary, Mrs. Pramila Tai Gaikwad. She is a strong support and encourages us to take new challenges to achieve the goals. I request Professor Shilpa Ingavle to give a brief introduction of our General Secretary, Mrs. Pramila Tai Gaikwad.
Thank you, Shailaja ma'am. I am very much glad to introduce our Honorable Pramila Tai Gaikwad ma'am, who is actively performing duty as General Secretary at Akhila Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad Pune from year 2011. With outstanding curriculum, she has passed and also stood first in the merit list of Pune University and also participated in various state level sports competitions. She is also working more than 35 years in the educational field. Rather than a passionate teacher, she has also performed duty as principal at Jijamata High School, Pune for more than 15 years. Her remarkable achievement is to get Best Teacher Award, what she received with the hands of Honorable ex-President Dr. Pratibha Tai Gaikwad, Pratibha Tai Patil from Delhi. Also, she is recognized and awarded as Active Social Worker Woman on occasion of Women's Day. She also received many special recognition awards for her remarkable contribution in the educational field. Also, she has received many awards for her social services and excellence. Some of them should be mentioned over here. Those are Rajmata Jizawu Award, Maharshi Karve Award, Dronacharya Award, Rashtriya Ekatmata Award, and many such awards what she got from prestigious institutions like Rotary Club Pune, Lions Club, and Mark of Honor PMC, and so on. Thus, Pramila ma'am is very much active in social and educational support system for more than 3 decades. Along with her major responsibilities, head responsibilities with the Shivaji Maratha Educational Society Pune and Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad Pune. I request Honorable Pramila ma'am to address the research scholars of today's conference. Thank you ma'am for being with us. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. A warm welcome to one and all present here. It gives me great pleasure to announce for today's National Level Research Conference, Architectural Education and Research 2021 to be inaugurated with the support and hard work of our faculty and students under the able guidance to the combined efforts of principal, faculty, and students of Architecture College for bringing up the whole knowledge of architectural research and education under one umbrella through online conference in COVID-19 pandemic scenario. Sincere thanks to our guest of honor and chief guest for our today's conference, Honorable Udayjit Samant, Minister of Higher and Technical Education, Maharashtra, and keynote speaker, Architect Christopher Benninger, for sparing their valuable time and sharing their valuable knowledge on current architectural education and research. I also appreciate the blessing of Honorable Ajit Dada Pawar, Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Architect Habib Khan, President of Council of Architecture, and Dr. Jagannath Pandit, Advisor NAC on this occasion. The collective efforts of this conference and all the memorable events will be focused in the research magazine Aspire 2021. This research magazine consists of research papers of various themes covering a wide spectrum of topics with enlightens the latest development and challenges in the field of architectural education and research and gives practical aspects. This conference brings out the vision, the knowledge, the resources, and the experiences to help and guide into the future technical activities. Hence, this will build aspiring architects and researchers to excel in their field. I also appreciate the strong efforts of referee and resource person to scrutiny all research work in standard format. Through this conference, we are looking forward toward organizing and initiating international conference. For this, I request Principal Sir to very soon initiate and start up for forthcoming conference. Best wishes, best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for all the support that you give us. We are very encouraged by the overwhelming response we got from the participants. We received more than 200 abstracts from all over the country, and it was really a very difficult task to scrutinize them all. This would have not been possible without the constant support by our expert panel of referees. Their constant support and guidance throughout this conference is very valuable for us. So, I request Professor D.S. Ramakrishna Rao, who is the chairman of Academic Governing Council of Gita Shishu Shikshan Sangha, School of Architecture, Mysore, to share a few words with the participants.
A very good morning to all of you. Thank you so much for inviting me on this August platform. It was really a challenging task because the papers which were received and I had to scrutinize were of the highest value. And the most encouraging part was that in this time of pandemic, when education and research have to be addressed at a different note, all the papers spoke about that. The difficulties, the challenges faced by faculty and students on online programs and how to go ahead of them and how to overcome them. My felicitations to the whole group who organized it. And when I look at the scale at which it was organized, I am overwhelmed by Principal Kohli and his team who made it possible to take this forward at such a quick pace. Because one of the greatest challenges that we are facing today is that how to get people together. On one hand, it is simpler and easier because it is online. But the other difficult task is to coordinate and get everybody on a common platform at a common time to address a good common goal. I wish all the best for the day's proceedings. And as mentioned earlier by Madam Savitribai, you must now look at the international perspective and very seriously look at something called Center for Higher Learning, which are beyond architecture and beyond what we do on a regular basis based on curriculum and universities. But Center for Higher Learning should talk about excellence in our knowledge, the knowledge that is based in our country, which is years and centuries old. How to take this forward to the world is the most critical thing. So I thank once again, appreciate for giving me an opportunity to say a few words. Thank you once again and all the best for the conference. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your motivating words. Now I request our second member of the panel, Professor Harshad Bhatia, who is a leading urban designer and visiting faculty at Rizvi College of Architecture, Mumbai.
As a referee, this is an eminent responsibility to convey my thoughts on Aspire 2021, the national online conference on architectural education and research hosted by Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad's Anantrao Pawar College of Architecture based in Pune. To begin with, an email on 15th January 2021 invited me to be a referee for this proposed one-day conference to be conducted online in these cautionary times for spatial distancing during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a pleasant surprise, but worthwhile to acknowledge in my constant thirst for knowledge through research in the field. More so, this timely initiative must be undertaken by institutions located in various regions to enable share their findings and deliberate on significant issues in our education system and for continuous learning. For this, the themes decided by the host institution seemed wide and noteworthy to address for research. There are essentially 6 themes, from environment and sustainable development, online teaching and learning process in COVID-19, new challenges in architectural profession, architects' role in societal development, climate change with reference to global setting, to agro-based infrastructure and architecture. Each theme has enough scope to allow options as many research areas would find their way in this spread of themes. However, this makes the work of a referee ever so more challenging in a sense. But I must mention that the host college sorted out the papers based on the topics or titles received by them and sent those which fell into the lap of each referee's domain accordingly. This was a useful step taken by the host institution to ensure that the referees were not bombarded with every paper, and neither did the research topic go unseen by a skilled eye. Nonetheless, it is my moment to also point out the shortcomings by the organizers. It is advisable for the host institution to go through the papers for their basic reading from spellings, grammar, repetitiveness to proofreading, image legibility, and such essentials before considering them appropriate for the referee to comment. Papers that lacked basic communication in text form must be sent back to the author researcher directly by the organizing host for due correction, and only after sending the revised paper, checked again to be correct, and then sent to the referee for selection scrutiny. As I observed in most of the papers sent to me, it put a question on the capability of the academician, teacher, to undertake research. Regarding the title and angle sought for research, to be frank and forthright, it was not encouraging on various counts. I noticed that most of the research topics were drawn from a familiar observation at home or at workplace or in a situation of personal daily living, and neither of these justified the necessity for collective consideration in a larger sense of society and the discipline of architecture. Furthermore, for ease of selection, the referees were asked to evaluate by marking out of 10 to each paper. This, in my view, was not apt to decide the different topics for research and neither be marked as in an examination paper for the varied content. Hence, in my way, research evaluation was based on a 4-point criteria. They were the relevance, theme and time, whether it was informed, whether content was researched, the understanding from the researcher's point of view, the inquiry and analysis, and presentation graphic and written, etc. While I could select only 2 of the research papers for their content value and research base, the remaining 6 did not qualify in their present state of application. I have conveyed my response to each paper with a written note separately that I passed on to the host college as per our scheduled timeline for scrutiny. My modest suggestion for the researchers is to not be disheartened by their efforts and my scrutiny, but take it with a sense of true learning. And for the organizers to understand that merely hosting such a vital conference does not absolve them from checking on the basics before passing on any paper to the referee just because an applicant has registered for the same. When content is correct, the conference will be a cause worthy to attend. What is laid down as the foundation through this first conference will decide how much of a superstructure one can build with a series of annual conferences that keep us updated and on our toes with progressive and informed research. Thank you and take care.
Thank you, sir. Our third member of referee panel is Dr. Ashish Rege, urban planner with specialization in housing and principal of Goa College of Architecture, Panji. Control.
Good morning, Rege sir. Please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
hello.
we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Uh, yeah, actually, first of all, I welcome all the chief guest and the keynote speaker and all the experts and the organizing team. And I congratulate all of them to, Dr. Kohli and his team to organize such a good conference, which spanned over almost 6 months. Despite the problem of COVID, we could. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear
hello.
you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We can
So
hear you.
despite the problem of COVID, we could continue on the for the last 5-6 months, and the entire process of formulating the conference and deciding about the themes, and then going about getting the papers and the entire process. So on the outset, I would like to congratulate Dr. Kohli and the principal of AP College of Architecture, Pune, and his entire faculty members for organizing this innovative national level conference, Aspire 2021, which is scheduled to be in the month of May, which got, the last program was now is happening in the month of July. The response of the participants in terms of variety of topics covered from different places in India is very much appreciated. One suggestion that I would like to make the organizer that they should give a common format in terms of essential, requisites and the maximum word limit for the paper. This was suggested in my comments, which I sent to the organizers in between. So that the comparing and judging of papers become fair and justified. But on the whole, I really appreciate the papers presented by the participants, and some of them were very on new topics, and some of them were covered the new grounds in terms of the topics given to them. And on the whole, I think the response is very good. And some of the papers, really came to the level of excellence. So once again, I congratulate and to the participants, always, as well as the organizing team, for this excellent effort. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's my great pleasure to introduce the chief guest of this inaugural function, Honorable Uday Samant, Higher and Technical Education Minister, Government of Maharashtra, Shikshan for accepting our invitation and gracing the occasion as a chief guest of this ceremony. Being an automobile engineer, he started his political career in 2004 as a Minister of State and worked with various portfolios of urban development, forest, sports, law, and fisheries. He worked as a president of MHADA. He has elected in 2019 in assembly elections and became cabinet minister with the portfolio of higher and technical education. Since 2020, he is Guardian Minister of Sindhudurga district. Being a cabinet minister of state of Maharashtra, he has proved himself in every job and responsibilities bestowed upon him. Apart from this, he has received several awards such as Kokan Ratna Puraskar, Bhaskar Puraskar from the Pride of India, and also he has received Ideal Youth MLA honor from Indian Student Parliament. We are very happy to have Honorable Uday Samant, Higher and Technical Education Minister, State of Maharashtra, as a chief guest for this conference. I request Uday Samant sir to share his views and address the participants.
देशाचे नेते आणि राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेस पक्षाचे अध्यक्ष आदरणीय शरद पवार साहेब यांच्या मार्गदर्शनाखाली आणि राज्याचे उपमुख्यमंत्री आदरणीय अजितदादांच्या नेतृत्वाखाली अनंतराव पवार कॉलेज ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर यांनी राष्ट्रीय संशोधन परिषदेचं आयोजन केलेलं आहे. त्याबद्दल त्यांचं मी मनापासून कौतुक करतो आणि त्यांना मनापासून धन्यवाद देखील देतो. धन्यवाद एवढ्यासाठीच देतो की या सगळ्या पॅन्डेमिक सिच्युएशनमध्ये अशा पद्धतीची राष्ट्रीय परिषद आयोजित करणं ही काळाची गरज बनलेली आहे. आर्किटेक्ट क्षेत्रामध्ये जे काही विविध पैलू आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये चांगला अभ्यास करून चांगलं ज्ञान प्राप्त करण्यासाठी विद्यार्थ्यांसाठी ही जी कार्यशाळा आपण आयोजित केली त्याबद्दल खरोखरच आपलं कौतुक करण्यासारखं आहे आणि या राष्ट्रीय परिषदेला माझ्या दृष्टीनं अनन्यसाधारण असं महत्त्व आहे. आपण जशी राष्ट्रीय परिषद आयोजित केली त्याच पद्धतीनं प्रत्येक आहेत, प्राध्यापक आलेले आहेत, त्यांना देखील मनापासून धन्यवाद देतो की अशा सिच्युएशनमध्ये आपण विद्यार्थ्यांना नक्की काय केलं पाहिजे, कशा पद्धतीनं स्वतःचं अस्तित्व निर्माण केलं पाहिजे, स्वतःचा उद्योगधंदा कसा केला पाहिजे आणि स्वतःच्या पायावर उभं कसं राहिलं पाहिजे याचं मार्गदर्शन या परिषदेतनं आपण करणार आहात. आणि म्हणून या स्तुत्य उपक्रमास पुन्हा एकदा मी मनापासूनच्या शुभेच्छा देतो. या खात्याचा मंत्री म्हणून आपल्या संस्थेला जे काही सहकार्य लागेल ते देण्याचा शब्द देखील घेतो आणि पुन्हा एकदा आपल्या कार्याला शुभेच्छा देऊन मी थांबतो. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र. देशाचे नेते आणि राष्ट्रवादी काँग्रेस पक्षाचे अध्यक्ष आदरणीय शरद पवार साहेब यांच्या मार्गदर्शनाखाली आणि राज्याचे उपमुख्यमंत्री आदरणीय अजितदादांच्या नेतृत्वाखाली अनंतराव पवार कॉलेज ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर यांनी राष्ट्रीय संशोधन परिषदेचं आयोजन केलेलं आहे. त्याबद्दल त्यांचं मी मनापासून कौतुक करतो आणि त्यांना मनापासून धन्यवाद देखील देतो. धन्यवाद एवढ्यासाठीच देतो की या सगळ्या पॅन्डेमिक सिच्युएशनमध्ये अशा पद्धतीची राष्ट्रीय परिषद आयोजित करणं ही काळाची गरज बनलेली आहे. आर्किटेक्ट क्षेत्रामध्ये जे काही विविध पैलू आहेत त्याच्यामध्ये चांगला अभ्यास करून चांगलं ज्ञान प्राप्त करण्यासाठी विद्यार्थ्यांसाठी ही जी कार्यशाळा आपण आयोजित केली त्याबद्दल खरोखरच आपलं कौतुक करण्यासारखं आहे. आणि या राष्ट्रीय परिषदेला माझ्या दृष्टीनं अनन्यसाधारण असं महत्त्व आहे. आपण जशी राष्ट्रीय परिषद आयोजित केली त्याच पद्धतीनं प्रत्येक व्यावसायिक महाविद्यालयानं अशा पद्धतीची राष्ट्रीय परिषद आयोजित करावी आणि आपला आदर्श पुढे न्यावा हीच या कार्यक्रमाच्या निमित्तानं मी आपल्याला सदिच्छा व्यक्त करतो. आपल्याकडे आज मार्गदर्शन करण्यासाठी जे एक्सपर्ट्स आलेले आहेत, प्राध्यापक आलेले आहेत, त्यांना देखील मनापासून धन्यवाद देतो की अशा सिच्युएशनमध्ये आपण विद्यार्थ्यांना नक्की काय केलं पाहिजे, कशा पद्धतीनं स्वतःचं अस्तित्व निर्माण केलं पाहिजे, स्वतःचा उद्योगधंदा कसा केला पाहिजे आणि स्वतःच्या पायावर उभं कसं राहिलं पाहिजे याचं मार्गदर्शन या परिषदेतनं आपण करणार आहात. आणि म्हणून या स्तुत्य उपक्रमास पुन्हा एकदा मी मनापासूनच्या शुभेच्छा देतो. या खात्याचा मंत्री म्हणून आपल्या संस्थेला जे काही सहकार्य लागेल ते देण्याचा शब्द देखील देतो आणि पुन्हा एकदा आपल्या कार्याला शुभेच्छा देऊन मी थांबतो. जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र.
Thank you very much, sir, for your support and motivation. You just rightly pointed out the role of an architect in this crucial scenario. Each one of us should respond to it as a responsible citizen. Thank you once again, sir. Now moving further, if I say Nagaloka in Nagpur, Suzlon One Earth, Mahindra United World College of India and National Ceremonial Plaza in Bhutan. It's enough to guess our keynote speaker of the conference. Yes, right. Architect Christopher Benninger. He is among the first few architects practicing in India who focused on low-cost housing and sustainable architecture with a due respect to culture and regionalism. He has always involved in shaping and inspiring the young and upcoming architects of India through his designs, interactions, and publications. So now I request Professor Sunil Kumar Bhosle to give a brief introduction of this vibrant personality, Architect Christopher Benninger.
Good morning, everybody. Architect Christopher Benninger studied architecture at Harvard University and city planning at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. His teaching career commenced at the School of Architecture at Ahmedabad in 1968. And it continued with Harvard's Graduate School of Design from 1969 to 71. The School of Planning at Ahmedabad, which he founded with Doshi in 1971, and the Center for Development Studies and Activities. Christopher's early works were influenced by his association with the modernist architects. His initial works like CDSA in Pune and the United College in India gave way to an individualistic style which has matured through works like Samudra Institute of Maritime Studies, Suzlon One Earth, and the IIM at Kolkata. Here, modern materials and sustainability are the underlining themes. Planning projects are located pan-India besides Sri Lanka and Bhutan. Here, besides the planning of various cities, including the capital Thimphu, he has designed the Supreme Court complex, the National Ceremonial Plaza, and the United Nations Guest House, among the other civic institutions. He is presently engaged in the design of the world's largest pharmacy research center in Shanghai, China. Besides various landmark Indian institutions notably the Azim Premji Institute, University, IIT Hyderabad, and TIFR in Mumbai. He resides and works from India House in Baner, Pune, with a team of 30 architects. Among his publications, his book, Letter to a Young Architect, won the Best Architecture Book of the Year award in 2012. This book was translated into Gujarati, Bangla, and Chinese. His book, Architecture for Modern India, has been published by Skira Rizzoli. Besides numerous awards, he has won the prestigious II Awards on 6 occasions. I now request Architect Christopher Benninger to say a few words.
Our School of Architecture. This is a relatively new school. It's about 7 years old, but it's full of young and dynamic teachers and enthusiastic students. So it's really a privilege to be here. I wanted to talk a little bit today about architecture. What is architecture? What are we doing? You see, architecture is based on something I'm going to call a knowledge system. When I was young, we had heroes like Frank Lloyd Wright, Le Corbusier, famous architects. And when we grew up, we all wanted to be like Frank Lloyd Wright or Le Corbusier. So our whole thinking process started getting formed by the books we read. Like the first book I read in my life was called The Natural House by Frank Lloyd Wright. And then later, a few years later, when I was maybe 17, 18 years old, I discovered a man called Le Corbusier. So it became my dream to be a well-known architect like Frank Lloyd Wright or Le Corbusier. And I started my career with that kind of idea in mind. I wanted to do iconic buildings. I wanted to do very fashionable buildings. I wanted my buildings to be published in magazines. But what I'm actually telling you is that's not what we should be doing. That's not what young architects should be thinking about. Young architects should be thinking about how do they serve society, how do they play a role in the community, and how do they make our cities better places to live. So what happened with me? I got trapped into this idea. I'm going to use the word, calling it a knowledge system of the high art, great architect. It was the ambition of young architects. So that ambition led me to study at a university called Harvard University, where a great iconic architect was the dean and the main teacher. His name was Jose Luis Sert. He invented the term urban design. He started the first urban design course in the world, and he built many important urban design projects all over the world. And he was one of the founders of something called the CIAM. In French, it actually means in English translation, the International Congress of Modern Architecture. He and another professor in our College of Architecture, his name was Walter Gropius. He founded the Bauhaus in the early 1920s, and everybody knows the Bauhaus. The Bauhaus affected the way we think about design, the way we think about how to design a chair, even cups and saucers and buildings. So again, another great man, Walter Gropius, was teaching us, and we had people like Sert, we had Gerhard Kellner, who designed the Boston City Hall, we had Fumihiko Make, who's still practicing. He taught me in 1967, 68, and he's still practicing in Japan today, and he's a great architect. So these kind of people, these kind of architects taught me, and these kind of architects put a bee in my bonnet, an idea in my head, that architecture means doing high art. Architecture means doing publishable work. Architecture means doing something that becomes a little bit famous. Now, when I think about all this over time, I think that was actually the wrong approach. Because if I look at what I see in the magazines today, what I see on ArchDaily are some of the websites. These are mainly European designs. These are designs which are very costly per square foot, probably in the range of 20,000 rupees a square foot, when we can build for 2,000 rupees a square foot in Pune. These are projects which are meant for the rich. They're not meant for even the average people in Europe. So when we look at these buildings, we start thinking, that's what an architect should do. An architect should do the work like we see in the magazines, like we see in Europe, like what we see in America. They should be like Peter Zumthor, or they should be like Rem Koolhaas. Well, let me tell you, Rem Koolhaas and Peter Zumthor could never solve a problem of India. These great architects could never solve any problem of the people of India, the people of Indonesia, the people of Bangladesh, etc. They cannot solve problems. So that gets into the issue of the role of the architect as a problem solver. If the study in Bombay shows that only about 25% of the people living there could ever afford to buy any standard legal housing unit, they could only afford to pay the monthly equated payments, only 25%. It means 75% of the people of Bombay are living in chawls, illegal chawls, hutments, workers' compounds, illegal layouts. So we're creating a situation as architects where we're working for the cream de la creme of society. We're building apartments like I built Lota Belmondo. It's a very expensive entry point for people to buy an apartment there. And this kind of work is nice, and we're catering to the upper middle class. That's also nice. What about the middle class? What about the lower middle class? What about average people who live in villages, who live in cities, who can't afford to buy into any of these schemes? So we have to ask a question. As architects, why aren't we solving the problem? If we're a doctor and we only work in one of the most expensive hospitals in Pune, and most people can't afford to go there, then are we functioning as doctors in the society? Are we really serving society? And I think all the professions, the doctors, the lawyers, the architects, have to ask this question. Are we serving India? Are we serving this little tiny elite group of people who can afford to pay for high-end architecture and high-end architects? So that's a kind of starting point that I think when you're studying architecture, you're doing research in architecture, you're writing in architecture, you should think about who are we and who do we work for? Now, recently I gave the annual convention address to the Indian Institute of Architects in Sri Lanka, where I proposed that every architect should take the street in front of their office and do a plan for them and try to do something in their community. During the lockdown, our office took Sassoon Hospital, the largest public hospital serving poor people in the district. And we did an audit of all the facilities. We found that out of 2 million square feet, about 600,000 square feet were inoperable, were bad facilities. They need to be torn down. And we need to add another 500,000 square feet to replace those functions. We need to link the 6 sites together with pedestrian walkways so that nurses and doctors and students of medicine can get to the hospital. So we did a free service, redesigning the entire Sassoon Hospital complex. I think every architect should do something like that. Yes, I have a client, Azim Premji, who is one of the wealthiest people in the world, who's hired me to design a university in Bangalore called the Azim Premji University, but he also has a vision to serve society. That university will be training people to be teachers in villages, training people to develop curriculum for people who live, average people who go to public institutions to do primary and secondary education. So you see, as architects, we can work also with visionaries who have ideas about changing society. So if talking to young people, I want you to think like that. Can you do something which will improve primary education in India? Can you do something which will improve basic health in India's villages and slums? Can you create better shelter for people living in slums? Can you work and advocate for better shelter for people in slums? Can you work for better mass transport as opposed to simply everybody having a 2-wheeler or an automobile? In my office, even the trainees are coming in automobiles these days. That's ridiculous. They're spending a lot of time on the road, they're polluting the road, they're spending a lot of money on imported petrol. So all of these kind of issues, mass transportation, mass housing, education for primary school students and secondary school students, basic access to healthcare. I think these are the things that we architects should be doing. And if you're having a conference on research and education, it should focus on these kind of social issues. Now, education of an architect. That's a very difficult question because in India we have 550 colleges of architecture. I dare say we don't have 550 great teachers of architecture in the country. We have more schools of architecture than we have great teachers. Each college is taking up to 80 students per batch. If I do some multiplication, I can't do the exact figure, but I think every year about 40,000 new students enter the profession of architecture. And I don't know how many survive 5 years, but let's say 30,000 students get graduated every year. Now, we hardly have 60,000 members of the registered architects who are registered with the Council of Architecture. How is it that in 2 years we'll produce enough young architects with no experience who can also register with the Council of Architecture? So this is a huge problem. It's a problem of numbers. We're going to have too many blind people leading the blind. People with simply a degree, no experience, never done on a construction site, never done working drawings, involved equally in the profession with each other, and in democracy, you know what that means. It means a free-for-all. People are more interested in politics than in quality. Okay, then what do we teach in the school? I think the first thing we should teach students is that you have to lead a good life. You're studying architecture for 2 reasons. One, to earn a living. Let's be clear. Architecture students are studying to have a job when they graduate, to have an occupation, to have a profession. But they're also studying architecture to be inspired in life. They don't want a dull and boring life. They don't want a life which they don't like. So 2 things the teachers have to give them. One is the skills, the knowledge, and the sensitivity to become a practitioner. The other thing is they have to inspire them. Now, to inspire a student means what? It means to show him what he should be doing. What is he good at? Is he bad at? Maybe a good teacher of architecture would inspire a student, you're never going to be an architect. You should leave this course. Now, that would be a good inspiration. I have a client named Anand Mahinder. He studied in JJ, had to leave. Then he went to college in Bombay, and then he went to the Graduate School of Design at Harvard again to be an architect. His teacher there told him, young man, you belong in the business school across the river. You'll make a great businessman. Go across the river to the Harvard Business School and study. And Anand Mahinder took that advice and he became one of the leaders of industry in India. Because somebody inspired him, don't be an architect, be a leader of industry. Okay. You can even take Ratan Tata. He studied at Cornell University architecture, and he never became an architect. He again became a great visionary of industry in India. So these are the kind of things I want to talk about. Can we inspire students, for example, to go work in the villages? When I came to India, there were people like Kirti Shah, who started the Ahmedabad Study Action Group, and R.I. Shah, who started Vikas Center for Development. They have spent their entire lives working with poor people who live in downtrodden conditions, creating better houses and better environments for them. And they're leaders, and they've had great professions. They've been invited to international seminars, they've been published every place, and they're doing great work for the people of India. Think of these people as role models, not just winners of big awards, people whose pictures you see in magazines. Think of people who are working for society. Now, at SEPT University, where I'm on the board of trustees, we are starting a new course about 2 or 3 years ago called the Foundation Course. Every student entering urban planning, we have a 5-year course, architecture, a 5-year course, technology, we have a 5-year course. All of these students have to take the Foundation Course. For 15 weeks in semester 1, they have 1 project a week, and those are all hands-on, no computers. These are manual projects, drawing projects, making things in a workshop, and they have to pass at least 12 of those to be allowed to go to the next semester. And if they fail 3, we have something called a winter school. They have to clear those 3 failed subjects in the winter school. They're told, you know something, my friend? You're not fit to be an architect. The next semester, 15 more weeks of foundation course, they're working on the computer. They're using all kinds of software. So by the end of the first year, they all have a skill base. They have a base and a foundation of skills where they can even go into an architectural studio or a design house, and they can work. Then we get into things like knowledge system. It's surprising to me how many students come to our office asking for a job, and they're sometimes gold medalists from Chennai. They're very fancy people whose fathers are professors in university. And we ask them, Can you tell us the name of any building designed by Charles Currier?
Thank you so much, sir. We are fortunate to have you with us and gracing this event. This one-day national conference is going to be culminated in the conference proceedings titled Aspire 2021. For this publication, we have received greetings from eminent personalities such as Honorable Shri Ajit Pawar, Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra and also Vice President of our management, Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad. Honorable Shri Uday Samant, Higher and Technical Education Minister, State of Maharashtra. Architect Habib Khan, President, Council of Architecture, India. Dr. Jagannath Patil, Advisor for NAC and former President of Asia Pacific Quality Network. Dr. Manohar Chaskar, Dean Faculty of Science, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. Now, I request Sunil Bhosle sir to proceed further.
Thank you, madam. We have received messages from various dignitaries, like ma'am said. I'll read out what Ajit Dada Pawar, our Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and Vice President of our institute, has to say for the conference. He states that our state and our country has a historical depository of architectural heritage. With the presence of prominent architectural stalwarts, professors and academicians attending this meet, architecture of the land would be further enhanced. He also feels that the churning of ideas and thoughts in this conference would be beneficial to the students desirous of becoming professionals in the near future. Thank you. Over to you, Shilpa madam.
Shilpa madam.
Yes, sir. Sorry for delay. Yeah. आदरणीय श्री उदय सामंत उच्च तंत्र शिक्षण महाराष्ट्र राज्य मंत्रालय
Honorable Minister of Higher and Technical Education of Maharashtra, Uday Samant has to say in Marathi Architect, वास्तुशास्त्र शिक्षण व
संशोधन या अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण विषयावर आपण जी परिषद घेत आहात, या परिषदेतील देशातील 450हून अधिक महाविद्यालय सहभागी होत आहेत. या क्षेत्रातील संशोधनासाठी सकारात्मक बाब आहे. या परिषदेत सहभागी 300हून अधिक शोध निबंध 25 शोध निबंधांना पारितोषिक देऊन आस्पायर 2021 या संशोधन पत्रिकेमध्ये प्रसिद्ध करणार आहेत. याचा आम्हाला अभिमान आहे. धन्यवाद.
Bhosle sir.
Architect Habib Khan, who is the president of Council of Architecture, sends his best wishes for the conference. He appreciates the initiative taken by Anantrao Pawar College of Architecture for National Research Conference and in these times of the pandemic. He is of the opinion that such an event is the backbone of the national education policy, and many more events like these should be held in the future by many institutions. Thank you.
Over to you, madam.
Dr. Jagannath Patil, advisor for DAC, in his good wishes for research conference, stated that this conference will contribute by creating enormous potential in the field of research. He also stated researchers should focus on transformation from the anthropocentric society to a socio-centric society to build a dynamic and developed India of 21st century. By supporting the socio-developmental aspects of the country, reduction in the educational paucity and upgrading the educational system, qualitative education should be the goals of the conference. With this, he wished grand success to all the participants of this conference. Thank you, Jagannath sir.
Thank you, Shailaja ma'am. We have a good wishes from M.G. Chaskar, Dean Science and Technology, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. In his best wishes for today's research conference, he said that he strongly feels that architects are known for their sensitivity towards social and global issues. And I am very much confident that the outcome of this conference would establish a visionary document in the field of research. Strong, resilient India of 21st century will be the building point. Thank you, Chaskar sir, for your motivational words. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bhosle sir and Shilpa madam. We feel very proud to have so many well-wishers to make this conference a benchmark in the history of our institute. After this inaugural session, we are continuing with the paper presentations. So I request all the presenters to join the link as per the schedule. All the participants will get the digital certification on their mail shortly. We are very happy to share with you all that from these presentations, selected best papers will be awarded with the cash prizes and certificates. These results will be announced on 19th of June by mail. Now I request Professor Sunil Kumar Bhosle to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Bhagwat madam. It is a pleasure at Anantrao Pawar College of Architecture, Pune, to host all the participants online for the National Research Conference 2021, Architectural Education and Research. We have been fortunate enough to have been blessed by eminent personalities in architecture, research, and academics. I'm sure all the participants benefit by their expertise today. We are thankful to the management of Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad, our parent organization, and especially Honorable Mrs. Pramila Gaikwad, General Secretary, and our principal, Dr. Rajendra B. Kohli, for their wholehearted support and words of confidence in times of despair. We thank you both for making all the finances and infrastructure available in these testing times of the pandemic. We are grateful to our Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Ajit Dada Pawar, who also happens to be the Vice President of our Akhil Bharatiya Maratha Shikshan Parishad, for his wholehearted support. Honorable Udayji Samant, Minister for Technical and Higher Education, for agreeing to be the chief guest and guiding us with the forward path of educational research in our field. The wise experience words from our beloved fraternity, father figure, Professor Christopher Charles Benninger, I guess, would have been a life changer for many architects, teachers, researchers, and students present here today. Thank you very much, sir, for all those golden words. Thanks are also due to Mr. Ram Prasad Akishetty, Managing Director and backbone of Christopher C. Benninger Architects, who despite his busy schedule, made all the efforts for Professor Christopher's meeting a couple of times, given us access to all the facilities at CCBA, and most importantly, sharing with us his thoughts and close association with Professor Christopher. His complete interview is available on our website. The key role played by the research guides, checking and rechecking the various papers of authors, tirelessly heeding to all the requests of our faculty from time to time, we are truly indebted to Professor D.S. Ramakrishna Rao, Professor Harshad Bhatia, Professor Dr. Ashish K. Rege, Professor Ravindra Sarnaik, and Professor Dr. Arundhati Vategaonkar. Today's esteemed jury panel, consisting of architect Trimbak Didagi and architect Pramod Saugale, we thank you for our professional acumen and helping us come to a pinpointed conclusion. Regards are due to my colleagues and faculty, Professor Shailaja Bhagwat for the meticulous planning and chalking of today's program, the duo of Professor Almis Mishkari and Professor Archana Ladkat, our coordinators, who tied the thread with all the teams and agencies connected with this conference, technical team of Professor Prashant Patil, Shilpa Ingavle, and our student Gople for the seamless operation of this event, along with the support for photography from Vaishnavi Jagtap, Professor Vaibhav, Professor Anupama, and Professor Pooja for all the back-end support. The support for financial team of Ashwini and Shivani, along with the support staff of Rahul, Ajay, and Vijay, were of great help at all odd times. Lastly, I would like to thank all the authors from the bottom of my heart who contributed towards the conference, without whom the event would have been a non-starter. Thank you all for letting us have such an eventful research, eye-opener conference, beneficial to one and all. Thank you very much. Over to you, Ms. Bhagwat.
I request all the presenters to join the link as per the schedule. So wish you all the best for your presentations, and with the permission of chair, I declare this inaugural ceremony is concluded. Once again, thanks to all of you. Stay safe, stay alert to fight the corona battle. Thank you.